Yeehaw. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. I believe, unless I did something wrong. What up, Marilyn? How's it going, Aravind? You're a dumbhead. Why are you a dumbhead? Well, that's all right. The regular Speedball Hunt 101 is what I use pretty much every day. That's a good nib. All right. So, oh, oops. Well, that's all right. Hopefully, I mean, at least they're a good batch. You waited a month, but now you have good nibs. Music sounds loud today. Classical music vibes today, I think. The energy I'm feeling. If you like your old nib better, that's fine. You can use your old nib. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that in 4 days, 3 or 4 days, I think it is, a copyright claim dispute that I submitted will be done, and I think that's what's stopping the live chat from working. So I'm hoping in, I think it's 3 days now, that the live chat replay on these live videos will be working. But we're gonna dive straight into this week's video. We're gonna continue what we did last week, because a lot of people said that's what they wanted. We are looking at these capital variations from various penmen and sort of talking through the differences and then trying to replicate them. I'm gonna go one at a time and try to replicate them all. What's going on, Odriswinny? How you doing? Yeah, so now we're starting today, unfortunately, with my worst letter, probably of the entire alphabet, but the capital letter D is probably my worst. And we can see here, it was definitely not JD Todd's worst, because that is beautiful. This is the variation I'm going to do. He goes through other variations like the compound curve variation, and this one, which is neat, unshaded stem and just the shaded oval, which is kind of neat. And then he also gives this one, which is the compound curve variation with a very simple ending. But as I do this one most, and I think this one is visible in all of the Penman's examples, this is the one we're going to copy to today. Well, we're all trying to survive 2020. We're all in the same boat. Home isolation doesn't have to suck. Home isolation is what you make it. Okay. JD Todd's gorgeous, huge ending oval. Normally, you'd try to see, or you would see this entry oval be about the same size as the exit oval, but his is huge. And also quite a bit of space. I'm curious to see if the other ones have this much space in this little lower loop. Now for Courtney, similar to last week, I'm going to ignore this top alphabet a little bit more because it's just not super well executed. This is not a very pretty variation of the capital D. So I'm going to focus on the one he has down here, which, because it's coming from the C, it has a smaller entry oval. And now he, unlike Todd, starts with he has a compound curve here. It looks like he came around here, came up, lifted, and then came down, but he has a slight long shade coming down. And then he's not fully horizontal or fully on the angle. His little oval here is kind of somewhere in the middle, going around, doing the second shade. And if you look at the similarities between the C he has here and then the mini version, I like that it's shorter than this shade, but shorter slightly, but it stays the same amount of thickness, so these letters don't look weird beside each other. Then we have Mr. Meyer, who is very similar to, actually, to Courtney's, how he has his entry oval, larger because he's not coming from a capital letter. Compound curve, slight long accent shade down here, little oval, and then quite angled and much of a longer shade. It's almost like a straight line on this right-hand side, similar to when we were doing the A last week. So we'll see. And then his exit stroke, unlike other exit strokes he has on this page, is borderline circular. It's not an oval at all. It is completely round. It drops quite a bit below the baseline and is round. So we'll see if we can accomplish that one. Blowzers, fascinating. Same size shade, like super long shade. If we compare the D to how long or how short his C is in comparison, and his C is longer than some of the other penmen. Super small here, compound curve. A lot of them had a compound curve here, which Todd didn't, but the other ones so far have all had this slight compound curve into, now his shade goes way below the baseline, and normally you'd see it cut at about this cross point or at about the baseline, but his shade goes way below, which is an interesting look. And then again, not oval, almost an oval, almost like a vertical oval going on here. So let's see that one. What do we got for Kana? Both of his variations in here, the small one and the larger one, are about the same. You can see his horizontal oval is even flatter, even more horizontal than the other penman. Theirs was a slight more angled than his. But now his shade, he maintains this super short shade that ends way below the cross point here. Way above the cross point, similar to like the A on this page. Super short shaded before it even gets to the baseline, which is kind of interesting. So that's gonna be, I know that one's gonna be a challenge because I have trouble doing the really short shades. And then last but not least, we have Mataraz here. And in this specific example, I could be, I don't know that this is the best variation of the capital D that he's done. Nice entry, slight, very, very slight compound curve into similar angle to the rest of the pen. This little oval comes around here, and then his shade is, like you can see, it's basically pretty much perfectly straight on the right tine and curved on the left tine, but not curved very much. Like the shape of his sort of oval is a little on the wonky side of things, and then a giant horizontal quick exit oval going there. And it could, yeah, he runs the risk of, if this came up any higher, with how low this shade goes and whatnot, this could definitely look like an H. That's a good observation. Yeah. All right, let's dive into it. We're gonna start. We'll just go backwards. We'll start with the Mataraz one here. My favorite of all of the capital D's that we just looked at was Todd, the first one we looked at. So we're gonna try to do that one last. We'll start with Mataraz. And like last week, I'm going to try to execute it the same way that he wrote it. So I'm not a huge fan of that imperfect or the kind of wonky shaped oval he has, the angled oval, but I'm going to try to replicate it just like he did. Stir my ink here. And we'll see how we do. Alright. Go right for it, I guess. So he starts with a very long... Wait, can I get his... They're both in frame so you guys can see it. There we go. Zoom out just a little bit so you can easily fit more of the variations in frame. Alright, so long, very narrow, drooping slightly to the lower right entry oval. Slight compound curve. So, and this needs to curve over more. And that shade is very, yeah, it's like straight, which I think I have the right idea about here. I just got to get this curve into it. He comes way up here. And then his down, he's got a nice oval here. And it's very abrupt as he goes in there. You can see that spot right there. Very abrupt compound curve down back to the baseline, which is interesting. If I'm being honest, not something that I would normally strive for. But today we're not trying to do the perfect capital D, we are trying to execute this capital D. Okay, got the abruptness going. I cut this too wide. I still need to cut that up there a little bit more and bring it straighter down. In the shade, that's like when we did the A last week. I find that really weird. Rather challenging. But we're gonna keep trying, seeing if we can get it. A little too pointy on the top and too rounded on the bottom. If you put the shade too low, it drags through the line. No, you wouldn't get a puddle. Going through, like if you see, going a shade through a hairline, like if I have a hairline here and I pull a shade through it, there's no puddles created by that. That's not something that you need to worry about really at all. I would say if that's happening, then your nib is potentially, there's some oil on there, or if you're going too slow, like you just said, that's going to cause an issue. The only way, like you have to be careful going through a big shade, bringing your hairline through the shade, but even then you can see there's no drag or no puddle or no anything. Sometimes there can be issues where if you're too shallow and if your hairline is on the thick side, then you're going through and all the puddled ink or all the pooled ink under your nib, if that ends up touching a little like pool ink of your hairline, then that's potentially going to pull it in. But it's not an issue that if you're getting that, there's something else at play that's causing it, because there are so many instances in ornamental penmanship writing that you're going to be doing big shades through hairlines, and it shouldn't be causing puddles or things like that. Like even if you're going slow, like if I have my hairline there and I'm pulling a shade through it, even going super slow, and that's like a giant shade, you shouldn't get any type of puddling quick issue. How to quickly fix a misaligned nib? You bend it till it's aligned. If you can't bend it till it's aligned, like if it's not even, there's no real technique to it. You just, with your thumbnail, just bend it. And if you're not able to get it back even again, you throw that nib away and you start another one. That's why, luckily, nibs are cheap. you don't need to take a lot of time to fix them. But bending them, they don't require a lot of pressure at all, and you just you just really bend one tine at a time, a little up or a little down, depending on how it's misaligned. One thing that I would try to figure out, if you're getting snaps and your tines are misaligned, it's nice to try to deduce which tine is wrong. It could be either like normally the left tine is your left tine is too low. That's the common one, because as you're doing an upstroke, that's just the way most of us hold a pen. It's the left tine that's a little too low and it digs in, and then if you get a snap, that pulls it down even farther. But there's a possibility that something happened and it caused, instead of the left tine to go too low, the right tine is too high. So you have to sort of figure out when the snap happened or when the misalignment happened, which one is right. Or you can look at it from the side and see, like, if one's flaring up and the other one's straight, then obviously the flared up one, that's your one that's a problem, and you have to slowly bend that back down to straight. But just slight pressure with your thumbnail, just bend it down. Little bits at a time. If you bend it and it's not enough, you bend it a little more. I wouldn't ever use a lot of pressure and do a big bend or try to do it all at once. You want to do small increments to slowly get it aligned again. But if you put a little bit of time into it and it's not working, you get a new nib. Because all it takes is one nib snap and it's back out of alignment again. So it's not something that you really need to be dedicating a lot of time to fixing nibs. Penmen back in the day, I don't assume they would even try to fix nibs whatsoever. Second a nib was misaligned, they would chuck them. But back then, they were way more readily available than they are today, and super cheap, and they were disposable. That's kind of the idea. My shade is still, see, I like my rounded shade much more than Mataraz's pulled straight shade, but still have, and this is an issue that I'm going to have with every one of the capital D's we're going to try today. I have issues curving in the top as quick as I need to. That's my own personal biggest issue with the capital D, unfortunately. And the capital O sometimes too, but for some reason, more often, it affects just the capital D. Go slight compound curve. Oh, and I forget, his exit oval is huge. It's kind of flat on top. That's the idea. I'm still too round. I don't know, it feels very weird trying to make a capital D not be shaded round. Round again. I'm gonna do 2 more attempts at Mataraz's one, and then we're gonna move on. I'm not a fan of, I kind of got the idea of it there. It's an ugly shade though. Okay, long, narrow entry oval. I'll try one more. My shading too big, but I'm gonna pull straight down instead of curved, and my left tine it's getting this nice circle. So I've been working on the capital C a lot, and it's giving me that nice shape that I want. But that's not what Mataraz did in this specific example. I'm gonna pretend that one didn't happen. Move on from Mataraz to whoever's next. If your nib's causing you frustration, get rid of it. Nibs are not expensive. Hunt 101's Leonard Principles, they're not tough to get. To my knowledge, anywhere in the world, they're accessible. by stores pretty much everywhere. So I would not allow it to stress you out too much. Okay, now Kanan's is gonna feel a lot more natural. We have this flat, which is against what I naturally do. I naturally keep that oval angled. It is very flatter, and it's more of a low compound curve, not as abrupt as Madara's. And then a very short shade that finishes before the baseline, and then comes down with a small loop below the baseline, which we should be able to manage. All right. What's going on, Tony? Welcome back. We're just doing, continuing on from where we were last week. We tried to replicate the Mataraz's variation of the D. Now we're doing Kanan's variation as we make our way through here. And Kanan doesn't really have a compound curve. It's pretty much a straight line, so that's something that's good to note as well. Unlike Mataraz and many of the other penmen here today. Might be slightly compounded, but not very much. Here's a high entry oval. Okay. I have to not make that mistake. It's cutting off that corner. But luckily, we can keep this rounded. I can cut it off even quicker. And we'll be laughing, I think. I think this could have a little more space. But we got the right idea. The angle is right. All right. What's going on, Hody? Welcome. Okay, here we go. Attempt number 2 for Kanans. High entry oval. Oh, I forgot. Whoops. Supposed to go down here. Okay. We can do that on the next one. Mataraz is the best. That's a matter of opinion, Odie. I personally am not one of the ones who believes that Mataraz was the best. He was not my favorite penman. That's just my own personal opinion, though. Okay. Darn it! I gotta go below here. I forgot again. The rest of it's not looking bad. I need to... This can be even lower. Gotta get that shape. Cool. You're the best tuba. I don't believe I'm the best ornamental penman of the living folk. There are a lot of people who put in a lot of hours. But I enjoy the practice, and thank you very much for saying so. This is a fun song. We're gonna have a very classical mood today. I was feeling very, very chill, very relaxed. I added some songs to the classical playlist that we haven't had in here yet. Oh, see what happened? When you slow down and you try to control things and think too much, things like that come into play, and all your shape gets thrown out of whack. Let me take my hoodie off here real quick. Ervin asks, Mike, who's your favorite penman? That's a good question. I don't know that I can pick a favorite penman. I have a few. I think stylistically, Meyer, I think, is my favorite. I like the way he put together signatures, and I liked he sometimes thought, it seems anyways, obviously don't know, but it seemed like he thought in a very unique way, he would use some ligatures in letter combinations or in flourish combinations that were kind of unique. They were seen other places, like I can't say that they were his or he invented them or was the only one who used them, but I've seen them more in his work than I have seen them in other people's work. So Meyer is probably one of my favorites stylistically. And then as far as actual writing, I am a huge fan of E.W. Blowzer. He's been one of my favorites at the beginning. And then Lupfer, or Lupfer, however you want to say it. Lupfer is probably, if I wanted to pick a penman and copy his, and like replicate his work perfectly, I think Lupfer's is the one that looks most like computer generated images of like an ideal form. So I quite like his, but I like all the different penmen for different reasons. But those are the three main ones that they kind of pop into my mind. What's on my shirt? This is the Pen Pal Society. This shirt, I don't know if the Pen Pal Society is a real thing anymore, or if it wasn't really a real society. I don't think this was a shirt that Antiquaria Bailey designed a number of years ago. And a bunch of us got them. So I figured I would throw it on today and rock a penmanship related piece of apparel. I don't know that if it is, I don't know that I could consider myself a member of the Pen Pal Society. I am not a very good, I haven't been very good in the past couple years at continuing up with my correspondence, pen pal wise. Oofty doofty. I accidentally got this. So this is what we wanted when we were doing Mataraz's one. That's kind of straight pull down. Giving too much of a shade on that accent. I gotta tone that down to just a slight accent shade. If I can. Let me know if this is too far away for you guys. I have it zoomed out so I could try to sometimes get what we're copying into the paper as well, or into the frame. But if you guys want the camera to be closer to the nib, just let me know. I can zoom in. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, getting through the letter D. Looking forward to the letter E. Me and the letter D don't get along very well most of the time. Ooh, that's pretty good. Except for... That's the idea, except my shade. That's the right shape of everything. Except for my shade ends down here instead of up here like his. Okay, I'll try to do that same, close to the same thing, with a much higher shade. Ooh, it's tough doing this type of work with in general, not just Noodler's pens, but any Flex fountain pen. It's very difficult to do, slash borderline not really possible to do good ornamental penmanship work with a fountain pen flexible nib, because they just don't spring back enough and they flood the nib at the wrong times. As fun, I have multiple nib creeper pens, as fun as they are to play with. Too long again. It's not necessarily, I would definitely, for doing this type of practice, I would stick to a pointed pen, a dip pen. Shorter shade, shorter shade, shorter shade. Oh, down here. Feels very strange cutting that shade off so short. Not in a Not in a bad way. Not like how making the straight shade is weird. It just feels weird because I've never been good at it, but it's something that I've always tried to get the hang of. No, I don't do this with a, as you say, don't do it with a Waterman. I wouldn't recommend it with any flexible fountain pen, to be honest. I mean, there are Watermans, there are old #2 and larger gold nibs. They can handle it, but again, they just don't spring back fast enough. They're not lined up properly and good for ornamental penmanship. And yeah, it's just more trouble than it's worth for this type of work, in my opinion. Here we go. Short shade. We cut it off. Got the bottom part. We still have the mic ward issue where I come too far up in that corner, but that's a personal thing that I'm gonna have to try to fix over time. Let's check out who's next. Blowzer. Oh, okay. We go from extreme short shade to the extreme long shade. And a slight compound curve. No accent shade on the little lower loop. I'm gonna drop down one extra line here so I'm not going into that exit oval. Right now we're trying to do that one. The exit stroke, or the exit oval, is gonna be a bit of a doozy. It's a really short entry oval. Space on this little oval. More abrupt than Kanan's. And then super long to come back up here. Loud plane going over my house right now. Or over my apartment. Okay. My shade is much bigger, but that's the right idea. We got the right angle. I think the right curviness. I just have to bring this up like so a little bit quicker, and then keep some space. I brought my shade a little too big and a little too far to the left. Read the chat for a moment. The Leonard principle does, yes, bring back faster than the Hunt 101. They are firmer than the Hunt 101. Again, depending on the batch and the year when they were made and whatnot. But in general, the Hunt 101 is a little more flexible. It's a little bit faster or a little bit farther, but springs back a little bit less. Also, the curvature, the Hunt or the Leonard principle is smaller. So it's curved, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit more. So it has a little bit more spring to it. How's it going, Lori? Yes, we're classical piano and that type of music vibe this evening. Today's been a day of getting all new COVID restrictions in the provinces and whatnot. So I wanted to listen to something to relax. Yeah, I go back and forth between the Leonard principle and the Hunt 101. The Hunt 101 would snap less. Like Erevin, you're saying the Leonard principle snaps more. Usually it's a sharper nib. They're finer than the Leonard or than the Hunt 101. I always said that the perfect combination between the two would be the flexibility and whatnot of a Hunt 101 with the fine point and refined edge of the Leonard principle. I think if those two nibs had a baby, it would be, borderline perfect. Which is why I started sharpening my Hunt 101s to create with what for me is what I would consider like the perfect nib for me. Oh, whoops. I forgot we were going. We got crazy pointy up top here. I'm going to imagine to get this, the little hook he has on the top here, I'm going to imagine that this is transitioning into a large horizontal oval, and it's going to give me that shape that he ends up having at the end of his capital D. LP Hunt. Maybe we can make it happen one day. Darn it, I forgot what I was doing again. Up here. These lives are definitely in the realm of when teachers say, or when people say, do as I say, not as I do. As we also say, it's important to have a good visual or mental image of a letter before you create it. The mental image in my brain is the way I like to write a capital D, and I'm really quickly trying to learn or trying to just trial by fire my way through these capital variations, but I'm making a lot of silly mistakes like that because the nib path is not quite ingrained in my brain just yet. The idea, I got pregnant belly going that way right there. Had that pulled more like this, and the shade followed suit, that would have been about right, because it would have followed that compound curve angle. Getting there. Tooth means the grip of a paper. Like smooth paper has no tooth. If it's just like icy, glassy, smooth, a piece of glass has no tooth. But if you get like fibrous paper, that's called tooth, because it's just the texture of the paper. They call it tooth. Tomoe River, to my knowledge, doesn't have very much tooth to it. It's pretty darn smooth. If I'm remembering correctly. My issue with Tomoe River, though, is always its thinness. Because I like that it's thin, but it's really easy for the paper to buckle because of the pressure of a shade, which can be really problematic in writing. I would like to use Tomoe River more. It's good paper, and I have quite a bit of it, but it just doesn't like large shaded writing all the time. Sometimes, but not always. Okay, I lost my hairline, but I feel like that was the idea. I'm getting these really close together, which is not a good thing. I gotta separate a little bit. Darn. Why can't I do it like that very first one I did was the right idea for the shade? I lost it. Nope. I get to... The shade has to be made evenly on a large oval. So thickest point has to be there, and I'm putting the thickest point much lower. Try a couple more times, and we'll admit defeat. Better. That's better too. That's the right idea. That one's pretty close. We need to... This was a little more rounded at the top. I think we'd be in a good spot. And his oval down here is a little more horizontal than mine. His abrupt change here into there. But close. The idea is there. Alright. We'll call it quits with Blowzers. We'll see what Meyer has. Same idea. Just a slight shorter shade. Now what'll make Meyer's easier for me is his is relatively pointy at the top, which is something that I do that I don't like that I do it, but the fact that he does it here will make it a little bit on the easier side to replicate. And then he has a slight long shade. Instead of having it right at the bottom here, it's during the downstroke. Can I get this in frame? Can't really, because then I'm in a weird spot. Tiny accent shade on the entry oval. Okay. Not bad. It's large, round exit oval we can accomplish. Downstroke. I lost my hairline though, which is a little annoying. Compound curve right there. So that one's actually pretty close. Hey, city. Sorry, I gotta go back and read. Yeah, the biggest thing I would say with Tomoe River, I would be careful, especially if you're using anything that's stiffer than like a Hunt 101, like if you're using a Nico G or something like that. The pressure you put on the page, the paper can buckle so easily because it's so thin. It's great for journals and stuff though, just for like fountain pen writing and whatnot, because you can fit in like a regular journal, like 240 something pages, in that same amount of depth or thickness. With a Tomoe River journal, you could fit like 300 and some pages. You could fit a ton of paper because it's so thin, and it takes fountain pen ink extraordinarily well. Okay. Why am I not getting a hairline here? Oops. Life of 101 versus Leonard Principle? What do you mean by life? Like how long they last? I wouldn't say that one lasts longer than the other, in my opinion. They're basically the same nib with this slightly different issue. Hody, yes, actually. I will be teaching. I have a couple lined up. I'm going to be teaching a Art of Movement Writing version 2.0. Not version, but the next step. So if you've ever taken Art of Movement Writing with me before, we're going to take what we learned there and go to the next steps, writing quotes and formatting, more about spacing, and a little bit about flourishing. Probably touch on the basics of signature writing, not signature design, but signature writing. Because in the Art of Movement Writing, we spend most of the time just learning the drills and training the letters. Now we're basically just taking the next steps from there. So we're doing that one in February, I believe. And then I have a beginner Spencerian course starting up as well in January. But that it will be not movement writing. That's going to be slower writing. Intro for pointed pen folk. And that's all I have on the schedule right now. What is going on with my paper right here? I'm going to use a blotter sheet. I don't know if this sheet of paper just has like oil or something on it, but my hairlines have died all of a sudden, so I'm going to start a new sheet. And I will use a guard sheet so I don't get hand oils. Do I have my arm oily today? I don't think so. It shouldn't be. It doesn't feel oily. Yes, I have to write the proper description of my second arm movement writing course. I have been slow at putting together all that information yet. I will do that maybe tonight after the live or tomorrow, hopefully. Okay, we gotta end the shade. His is super clean right on this point. His back to a hairline, so that's where I gotta sort of focus on doing a little bit more of that. Getting into the shade quicker and out of it quicker as well. Sort of, we have a kink, but the shade ended in the right spot. What's going on, Devin? City, the black paper that I'm using right now is just super cheap from eBay. It's I think if you search gel pen paper, it's not expensive. It's not amazing writing paper. As you can see, some of it is oily and doesn't write really well. But it's good for practice. It gets the job done. It's lined. It's best. It's cost effective. It's pretty cheap. So that's good, since when we're practicing, we go through a fair bit of it. That's the idea. Pretty close. Messed up my entry oval on that one. But if we look, and my exit oval is a little, slightly more oval than his. And his shade, my shade still goes too far lower. It needs to start up. I need to get thicker here. I'll try a couple more and try to get that shade up higher. Dr. Joe Vitolo in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that's an interesting idea. I'm going to read your comment out loud, Joe, just because lately YouTube has been disabling the live chat replay, so when people watch this video, they're not going to know what I'm commenting on, so I'm going to read it. Dr. Joe says, I have actually used a very light placement of oil resistance to create a variegated effect on inks like McCaffrey's Red Violet or Norton's Walnut drawing inks. Just using the residual oil on a fingertip. That's fascinating. That's an interesting idea. I've never done it intentionally. I've had inks do that when I'm writing on like paper that I'd got messy by accident, or if I spilt on them or something like that. But I like the idea of trying to do it on purpose. Good choice of words, by the way. To get the variegated effect, I like that. That's fun. It's an accident at first, yes. I can imagine. But that's a neat thing. If you could really learn to incorporate that on purpose, that's a cool effect that you could add. That I'm gonna play with. If you weren't here for the beginner, if you don't know exactly what we're doing here, I don't know if you were here for the explanation, Dr. Joe, or anybody else that just joined, but I'll explain. I'm going through this sort of the last week and for the next couple weeks, I'm going through alphabets by a variety of penmen and trying to replicate their letters, and not their specific styles, but just of this specific example. Like right now, this is one of Meyer's D's that I'm working on doing. Next up, we'll be doing Courtney's, and then JD Todd's, and then we'll move on to the capital E. We're having trouble today, though, or at the beginning, because capital D is admittedly probably my worst letter. So copying these isn't working that great. What's going on, Mohammed? Okay, let's get this Meyer D in the bag here. Thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate that. I think that's exit stroke stayed round. I'm still a little pointy up there. We're close, though. I think we're close enough that I'm going to move on to, in the interest of time, to Mr. FB Courtney's capital D. We're going to do this bottom one here, which I think at the end of this, once I get through the entire alphabet, I am going to try to replicate this entire specimen by Courtney, this almost entire connected alphabet, because it is absolutely gorgeous. And I just want to try to do it. I want to find, I need to put in a call to Michael Sull and see if I can track down, I would love to track down this print block from the archive. If this one's even in there, because this is such a, connecting things is my jam. And this is such a beautiful connection. All right, so now for this one, because the way he wrote it, he's connecting from the C, we're gonna start it with a tiny little entry oval. We're gonna start it tiny entry oval up into our compound curve. And I have to get that almost the same size. And this is our first one that has a double loop. First and only one, I think, of the D variations we're doing today that has a double oval on the inside. So we'll see what we can do. Oh, nice. That's a good one to have on your wall, Mohammed, for sure. It's gorgeous. Yeah, I would believe it, freakish ability. Though, I will say, Joe, and you weren't here last week to hear me, and this is bad. I have to be careful because I'm not bad-mouthing Courtney, obviously, because his work is fantastic. But when I put these alphabets together, I just did really quick Googles, and then like off of your website and off of my own archive from the Business Educator and stuff, I just really quickly pulled together a few alphabets from different penmen and printed them in like 30 minutes before last week's live. And the first alphabet here, I have two by Courtney. This first alphabet, it is not very, it's not amazing. It's not freakish. I mean, it's still really good, and some of the letters, like the P and the J and the I, are gorgeous, but some of his ovals and forms on this one are a little on the crazy side. Like, if you compare this alphabet in its freedom, this was, you can tell that Courtney was definitely paying way less attention than when he obviously executed this one. Or, I mean, it could also be different stages of his life. I don't honestly remember where these alphabets came from. Like I said, I really quickly Googled and just put together an archive really quick for the live. I will be putting together a better, sort of, not resource, but a better sort of collection of good alphabets. But I didn't really realize it till we started the video last week, and I looked at this top one, and the precision is not there. But on this one, I mean, these are crazy precise. Like, that C is bloody perfect. But that's also one of the things that I like in this sort of series, I guess we could call it. I like remembering that these men, as amazing and freakishly talented as they were, they're also human. They were just like us. They were just like us in practice and worked a lot harder and a lot more hours than we do. So they were freakish versions of us, but they were human, which I like. It keeps it real a little bit. I think Lupfer was also one of the ones that I feel like I could look at some of Lupfer's work and think it was engraved when it wasn't. I mean, Taylor most definitely. Todd as well, I feel like, had the ability to do some... I mean, all of them. I think if they all worked their hardest, and I think they all had the ability to, some of them did it more, or were more consistent in their freakish perfection than others. All right, here we go. Let's get this Courtney D. We'll see if we can do it here. So, tiny entry oval, compound curve, and then we got the double loop with a very short shade. That's going to be the hard, well, no, the whole thing's, this is going to be a very hard one. Very, very short shade and a very round exit oval. Very Kanan-esque exit oval. Yes, that's very true. The ones we know were the best of the best. There were hundreds upon hundreds of very, very accomplished penmen that we don't know about. Because we know about the freaks. The Einsteins and the Van Goghs of the penmanship world. All right, here we go. Oh, 2-line. I gotta remember where I'm going here. Less of a compound curve there. Very round. Okay. Snap. Adding way too much of a compound curve on this one. And he also has a slight accent shade right there that I will try to add in. I gotta get my spiraling ovals looking nicer if I'm going to accomplish this letter. Okay. Too much of a curve. If we imagine that wasn't there, and if we imagine that my shade, to get the shade to end here, or to end below or before the baseline, that is a challenge. It is almost too easy to get that, when you're looping in to get that shade, this is the natural place for it to go. But to keep it so high like that is a challenge. Better. Better. Definitely better. This was a little too wide. But as far as spacing, compound curve was good. I forgot to add the little shade there. And then our exit oval is round-ish. Not quite as round as it needs to be. But we get that parallel line. We're getting there. That was closer. Chip away at it for a little while. The chances of getting it perfect are minimal, but that's all right. We'll chase perfection. That doesn't mean we have to. That doesn't mean we'll get there. Ooh. Better. I kind of forgot about how this was supposed to be round. I'm definitely, from here to here, my compound curve is very stretched out instead of being much more abrupt like his. Right there. So we'll try to squish that ever so slightly. Also, this first oval we can afford to bring a little bit lower. Okay. Easy to talk about it. Let's do it. You don't forget, or you don't realize until the second after you made the shade, that you weren't thinking at all about making the shade short. Keeping that shade short is one heck of a challenge. But we're going to get there. At least closer. We'll get it much closer. This is narrower too. I gotta narrow it up a little bit. Ugly. Jeez. That specific space right there is going to take a fair bit of work. Still too high or too low. Darn it. So we gotta summon my... Gotta try to summon Courtney's freakish abilities here for a moment. Ooh, much better. Still not as short as his. But that's a nice capital D, if you ask me. Alright, I'm gonna try a couple more though, just because, I mean, even still, like, I really like the way that looks. but compared to his, I mean, his inside is just so clean, and his exit oval is. I mean, the my favorite part about this entire letter is the like capital C that's on the inside. That is just a mini version of the capital C here, and they're both perfect. Yep, I had Courtney on my side for that one. All right, we'll try this just a couple more times, and then we'll go to Todd, who's my favorite example of all the ones we're looking at tonight. Nope. Better than some of the previous ones, but that's not what we want. Making that exit oval horizontal is such a habit. It's quite weird to intentionally make it round. Goes back to one of those things that you guys hear me say all the time, where we rely on everything is a choice, not happenstance, not because we got lucky, but because it's a choice. We have to train ourselves so we're in control, and everything we do is on purpose and intentional. As much as possible, anyways. That's pretty good. Stretched out. I got this weird kink on my exit oval, but that's alright. We'll call that good enough. And Courtney would be semi-proud of that one, I think, of those close to the last variations. Now we'll go to JD Todd's, which is simple and clean, and again, basically perfect. But the big difference between his and what we just had with Courtney's is his shade is a little bit longer, so it's going to be slightly easier for me to attain. The hard part here is going to be how abrupt his compound curve is there. I have much difficulty getting that abruptness, as you can see, even in the way I did Courtney's. Very drawn out, much too stretched out. It needs to be condensed and more abrupt. Take a sip of tea. I have been very much feeling I know most of you know I'm a green tea person, but lately, a while ago, I had some ice cream at a fancy ice creamery place, and I got Earl Grey ice cream with honey. Earl Grey with honey. And it was delicious. And I've never been a big Earl Grey drinker. I would drink it from time to time, but I'm usually a green tea drinker. But Earl Grey tea with honey is delicious. So I've been alternating lately from my regular like sencha green tea with honey that I drink probably the most of. And then I've also I added some what's called genmaicha, which is Japanese tea that is mixed with roasted rice. Similar to I consider it like the classic Japanese restaurant tea. It's what you get at a restaurant. And then also adding most recently my Earl Grey with honey is so good. Yeah, very true. Dr. Joe says the quest for perfection is about a journey, it's not a destination. The challenging nature of this art form can often lead to frustration. Videos like yours go a long way to illuminate the path forward. Thank you very much. The great thing from my perspective is that you look like you are still having fun with your penmanship. Oh, I mean, if I wasn't having fun with penmanship, Joe and everybody in here, I wouldn't be doing it, straight up. I know that much about myself in my life. If something is not fun, I don't do it. And it's been that way, or if I don't find the fun in things, I've been that way for like over 2 decades now. It's just been I made the choices that if things aren't fun, if I don't enjoy them, I won't do them. And this, I find penmanship incredibly fun. And what keeps me wanting to do it is it's also incredibly challenging, which adds to the fun. I like puzzles and that type of stuff, so penmanship is just like a puzzle. And as a dancer who trains his body to do stuff, it's like a combination of all the things. It's fun, it's challenging, and it's training my body. And I remember when I first got into it, I was incredibly, not frustrated, and not in a negative way at all, but I was unsatisfied with the fact that there aren't really people today that can do it like the best penmen of the past. And I'm not okay with that. Never have been okay with that. So, will I ever get to that status? Oh, I don't know. But I will keep pursuing this fun journey not until, but I'll keep doing it forever. But maybe one day I'll get there. Who knows? If not, it doesn't stop me from wanting to do it. Being a good penman has never been the driving goal. I just like doing it. Always have, and pretty sure I always will. Okay, ink is stirred. Here we go, JD Todd. Clean D. Let's get through this D variation so we can go to a capital E. So I can stop stressing out about how difficult I find the capital D in general. JD Todd's variation or version here is basically very similar to the ideal way that I see it in my brain. So he's rounder here. And then also the Mike Ward issue, which has always been an issue, getting that little bit at the top. Always, 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 always. No matter how much I practice it, I can't seem to get rid of it. I've just kind of learned to deal with it. But I don't like it. I went too round on that one, trying to cut that part off. Shades are decent, though. His are a little bit higher. Oh, thanks for hanging out with us for a moment, Dr. Joe. Sleep well, and we'll see you later. Nope. That abrupt compound curve. That's what we need to get. That's what we're going to focus on for this next one. The rest of the letter goes to garbage. That's fine. That's allowed. Yes, a very happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Joe, and to everybody who's celebrating this week. Oh, if I wouldn't have got wonky on my exit oval, that was pretty decent. Shade's still too low. Gotta cut it higher. Which we can do. Do one more line of this D, and then we're gonna be done with the capital D. For today, I will have to do drill practice to fix my issues with this letter. Okay, we got the abrupt compound curve there. We lost all of the rest, but the abrupt compound curve happened. So that's something. We're going to try to now hold on to that and continue moving forward. That, I'm not actually mad at all. It has a nice capital D. The shade is long and a little too far to the right. If it was up here, we'd be closer, and then my exit oval needs to be a little higher and rounder. But as far as, that's probably one of the first times I've got a relatively decent abrupt compound curve in the bottom there. So, happy with that. 2 more, and then we'll go to the capital E. Pointy on top. My exit oval was way too small. Try again. Last time. No, I forgot to make it abrupt. I knew it right when I got about there. Darn it. That's okay. Wait, no. I'm not happy ending on that note. I totally forgot about the compound curve. I have to think about that going into the whole thing. Abrupt compound curve. Abrupt compound curve. Here we go. Booyah! Shade's too short. I honestly think getting that abrupt compound curve makes this oval. I think that might, honestly, that might fix the whole mic upper corner issue that I always have. Or that might help getting that compound curve more abrupt starting the direct oval. Maybe. But let's move on to the capital E, shall we? Okay. Capital E. So we'll see what JD Todd did here. I don't know which variation. I haven't. Let me look really quick and see kind of which variation every penman used. That one, that one. Okay, they all are a little bit different. Hello, mother. Alright, so tell you what, we're just going to go, instead of reviewing them all back to back, I'm just going to dive right into it and we'll review them sort of as we create them. So he has these two simplified versions here. We're going to replicate this version with the tiny loop. Then he also has this version here, but this is either thrown with a flourishing grip going this way, or written backwards from the bottom. I'm assuming it's probably thrown with a flourishing grip. We will see. We're going to do this one here. Super clean. Nice entry. Little oval, big here, and then exit. Pretty standard. I'm going to try really hard to get these 2 parallel lines there. That's going to be the main focus for me. And then this will bisect the baseline. Yep, let's do it. All right. Oh. private lessons when I'm home for Christmas. If I can come home for Christmas. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to yet. Gotta wait and see what my province and what our provinces decide is allowed for Christmas. But you got it. We can do lessons. If I can't come home for Christmas, we can do video lessons. I mean, I don't use glass pens, so I can help you as much as I can with a tool that I'm not super familiar with. Whoops. I mean, that's almost hitting the nail on the head territory. If I'm being honest, his is a little... My oval here is a little stretched out. His is a little more round like this one, but that one's pretty on point. My shade is slightly lower than his, but we'll try one more. But that is pretty darn close. Oh, see, and now we got the first half of this one is exactly what I wanted, and the second half of this one is exactly how we wanted. So if we took this bit and fused them together from those two examples, we would be we'd be laughing. But just keeping it open is the big thing to remember. Nope. There we go. That's the one. Happy with that. We can't really get the two in frame together, I don't think. But if we look at J.D. Todd's variation right here, his exit oval and shade are a little bit closer together. The rest of the letter is pretty much spot on. That's a nice E. If I would have just brought my exit oval up a little bit more to have it a little bit more rounded, we would have been in near perfect territory there. But I'm very happy with that. That's a good E. So we will move on now from Todd to Courtney. Good morning, Roy. I believe it is. What time for you now, Roy? Is it 5:30? Is it 6 yet for you, or is it still 5? Is it 5:30 in the morning? Or 6:30 in the morning? Oh, I didn't see that comment from my mom. I'm almost as good as you already, but may need a few touch-ups. All right. That's good. In that case, well, you can teach me a few things then when I come home. 6:30 a.m. That's hardcore, Roy. Thank you for joining us so early in the morning. All right, let's look at Courtney here. What do we got? We're going to be doing this one. So I'm going to start it with a compound curve like this. So compound curve starting right above the baseline. Up, slight shade, and then not touching, which is good because that's naturally what ends up when I write and try to make them touch. This is what ends up happening. Come around, basically the exact same as Todd's here, but then ending even more round than Todd. Todd's had a little bit of horizontal oval in there, but Courtney in this instance, just like, I mean, look, C, D, E, all super round exit ovals. So we're going to try to finish this round quite a bit below the baseline as much as possible. And then we're gonna end right here, just trying to match that parallel for a moment, just for a second. Dedication indeed. I like it. Yeah, we can do some ink grinding when I'm there for it with you, Mom. Well, also I'll bring some ink home that we can play with as well to make it easier. Yeah, Lori and Ojaswini, I feel the same way. To be up at 6:30 in the morning, unless I was getting paid, I know that sounds super ridiculous, but if I was on a job, if I was on set somewhere at 6, I could be there. But if, other than that, I would have to stay up at night through until 6:30 in the morning, and then I could be there. But I don't imagine I would be waking up that early for many things. I like my sleepy mornings. Okay, what is this? Compound curve. I don't remember what we're doing here. Nope. Where does the compound curve... Oh, okay, so the compound curve gets threaded perfectly. And then this comes up. This comes way down here. To there, right below where that is. Okay. We can do that. And this needs to be more round, just like in the previous example. Okay. We can do that. We can do that. I think, in theory, I have faith in us. Nope, not like that we can't. Okay, what's happening here? When I'm trying to loop that, I'm losing this nice angle that I have on that little connective one. Why is that happening? Okay. Why can't I do I did all of these good E's up here, and now entering into it with this compound curve in this little shade, I can't seem to do a good one at all, which is rather bizarre. Even my shades. Why is that? It's gotta be mental. I'm thinking about something wrong. Or just thinking too much. Thanks, Marilyn. Maybe that's why. Ugh. Gotta get that round exit oval. Okay. That's the idea. That's a little better. Much better, actually. This was just a bad line. The paper just didn't want to... I'll blame the paper. There was some bad juju on that line, I guess. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. Trying to get our shade a little bit bigger. Nope, too long. There we go. That's a good one. That's a nice E. The shade isn't as good as these ones up here. For some reason, it's not bad, but it's not as smooth as it could be. My left hand mucked it up a little bit for reasons unknown. Not round enough. That was the right idea for the rest of the letter, but we made our exit oval too horizontal. But I think, or too ovally, but I think we've gotten close with that one there and that one over there. I'll put a happy face on that one too, just so we know that that's, consider that good. What track is this? I honestly have no idea. I can't, when I'm in the stream, I can't see what exact songs are playing. It's from the if you look up classical music on the YouTube, like if you have a YouTube channel and you go into your YouTube studio in the audio library, there is all the classical music that I'm using is in that. Okay, Barons Meyer. What do you got for me? Ooh, okay, so I don't think I've ever actually done the end of the E like this. So he starts entering very slight accent oval, but entering like on the fly, crossing through, larger top than bottom, which is interesting, not the most common. And then going, so these are almost the exact same size from here to here, but then this comes around to have this exit oval that cuts through. Interesting. All right, this will be a neat one. Yeah, if you don't find it, message me and I don't remember exactly what song was playing, so I'm not sure, but it's primarily 2 artists in my whole playlists. Yeah, the specific version, I'm pretty sure they were playing, like, some of the ones are specific, like, Bach preludes and things like that. The artist I don't have any of his music, but it might have been played, or his music played by somebody else is what I'm trying to say. And there's 2 artists that fill up most of the playlist I have. I just can't remember their names. But if you message me after, I can take a look and give you those 2 names so you can narrow it down. Whoa, that's weird. It's weird making the top as big as the bottom. And his line goes all the way down below, so it travels quite a bit. Okay. Yeah, it's probably, I mean, I think a lot of the, one of the artists in the playlist, I think, plays a lot of, like, traditional, um, classical music, like, potential, like a lot of Bach and just maybe other, known classical pieces. So they would feel on the familiar side, I would imagine. So, the key to making this look decent is I have to bring this up much quicker. Have I heard of Two Cellos? Of course. I have. Pretty sure I have all of their albums. Unfortunately, because of YouTube, I get copyright. I can't use a lot of my favorite music in the background because I would want to. I would want to play Two Cellos. The main person I would want on, especially days like today, would be Helen Jane Long. Is my favorite classical artist. But I can't listen to those music. Or I guess, I mean, I could. I would get copyright claims, which isn't necessarily a bad thing since my channel isn't monetized or anything. But if it ever is in the future, if I monetize my YouTube channel, if I get enough views for that, and I monetize, then I don't know if the audio of my videos will get cut or sections of it will get potentially cut. I don't know. I just feel like if I do it this way using royalty-free music all the time, then I'm kind of safe from all of that struggle. Ooh, not bad. Too high here. We touched. I can bring this even lower. Around copyright? I don't think there's a way around copyright, really, no. Not bad. No, I mean, there's certain musical artists will allow that with a mention, but not most of the time. Here we go. I quite like this E. It's fascinating. This one, this oval needs to be a little more like that shape, though. So we don't lose the shape of that little oval. But it's quite fun. Never done that one before. Thanks, Meyer. That's like I said, I find him creative. Alright, EW Blowzer. What do we got? Okay, so entering this one with a horizontal entry oval, dipping super low, coming way up high, and then coming through. So pretty standard. It's just normally, when I see this one, the entry oval is sort of up here. He started his entry oval really low compared to the rest of the letter. I wonder why. I can move this here so you can see both of them. Not quite. Now we gotta cut this a little bit quicker in here. Go back to smaller on the top and bigger on the bottom. Yeah, I don't like to play the copyright game, so I don't even want to mess with all of that. I play it safe. I've been served cease and desist letters in the art world before for paintings. I actually got a cease and desist letter from Michael Jackson's lawyers once for a painting I did a number of years ago, so I don't much like dealing with copyright stuff. So I don't anymore. I just play it. I play it safe. Too long here. Other than that, and too high up here, this needs to cut in quicker. Yeah, I painted a pair of Michael Jackson's. Actually, I painted 5 pairs of Michael Jackson's shoes, and the merchandising lawyers served me a cease and desist, assuming that I was a factory, which is a nice compliment that they thought I was a factory printing shoes, even though I was just freehand painting them. But when I explained the situation, they never pursued it any farther. But I wasn't able to legally sell them after that. I mean, I could, I guess, privately, but there we go. That's a nice E. This could be a little more round, gradual in this transition up to the top, but it's a nice E. Frame the cease and desist. I could. I mean, it's in my email somewhere. And I think I have a printed cup. Wait, do I have the... I think it was just an email. I don't think I got it in the... Did I get it in the mail? If I have it somewhere. I mean, I have a file cabinet. It might be in there somewhere, or it's in my email somewhere. I can't honestly remember. It was quite a few years ago now. That's the idea. That was a nice E. Look how... So... This is one of the... I got so excited there. I have a... It's very common for me to do this here and then bring this a little too abrupt. The transition in angle. And I always say that it needs to be more of a loopy, like curved angle. Just like that one. That is... I mean, could I get it closer? Potentially. But that is extremely close to what Blowzer did. Which I'm quite happy with. His shade is a little bit bigger than mine, so it's straighter on the right time and pushed out, but I'm quite happy with that. That's a nice E right there. I'm gonna give that a smiley face. No Fozzie today to remind me to put smiley faces on everything. I could auction them for charity, or I could... I mean, it's been so many years now, I could just sell them privately if I wanted, or, I don't know, keep them in my own private collection. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. But one of these days, I have to go through my closet and get rid of all of my old custom shoes. 'Cause many of them don't fit me. A lot of them are stock from when I used to paint shoes. They were all my display shoes when I would do shows or things like that. Now, Kanan's E here, I think we're going to do his smaller E. The big one here, it's not the prettiest of E's, but the challenging part, similar to his A, the C, and the D, the shade is super short. From there to there, super thick and super short. but then his transition out. It's really, I mean, it's none of it's bad. It's just the left tine or the right tine follows this straight line that kind of, in my opinion anyways, ruins the flow of this letter. His small one has similar to what we just did. So maybe we will try to do this one. So I will, not a fan of this E, but we'll try to replicate it with that crazy, fast, and short shade that's really high. We'll try it. I don't know where Fozzie is. We were talking about plants right before I started. But I'm assuming she's doing mom's school duties, I would guess. Busy, busy. Okay, here we go. This shade is gonna feel very weird. I never bring my E's below the baseline either, so that's weird. It's possible. Coffee so pays. I can't get my shade to cut off that quick. That's so quick. Nope. Well, that's the idea. I mean, I don't like that shape of a shade, but with the right tine straight and the left tine going out, the angle's a little bit off from what he did, but that's how he did that shade. It was still shorter than mine, but he has it coming sort of to this angle instead of to that angle, but it's very strange. I know I've said strange like 10 times in the past couple minutes, sorry. Everything goes so weird when I try to do shades like that. Welcome, Fozzie. We were just talking about you. From the devil? What is happening here? I feel like I've missed something in the chat. Oh. Wait, did Fozzie just happen to sign up now? Or did, like, one of you message her and that's why she all of a sudden joined? Or did she just happen to join right after we were talking about her? By happenstance? That's the idea. So, obviously, way wrong angle from him. But it's very... That's how they did the shade. With the straight right side. It's so bizarre. I'm gonna try to do it again, but get the angle a little bit sharper, like specifically like Kanan did it. I will go on the record and say that I'm not a fan of this variation of the E very much. Or just the shade shape, the variation's fine. But the shape of the shade is very bizarre to me. That's kind of I feel like that's about as close as I'm gonna get to these, like that idea there. The angle's close, I'm still more vertical. How it's the straight on one side, super short, and then hairline down below. I'm gonna call that close enough because that's weird. Oh, well, you don't have to be in here if you're out running errands. That's funny. Especially if you're driving and being a mom. Okay, Mataraz. Okay, Mataraz has a very minimalistic E here, which is quite pretty. Starting just with an oval line, which that's how I like to start a lot of my E's these days. Just starting straight into it from a hairline. And then similar to how was a Blowzer came up here, but then doing a compound curve instead of continuing through. I like that. Very minimal, very simple, very pretty. Hey Jesse, welcome. We're on Mataraz's E right now. Final E of the bunch that we're trying to replicate today. There it is right there. Let's see if I can do a decent job of replicating it. I feel like we should be able to do this one pretty, I don't want to say simple, pretty easily, because none of it is easy, really, but I feel like it should come out of the pen relatively easily. All right, here we go. Just the idea, we gotta cut this a little bit more. It's weird because we're going from certain variations we're doing today that have super round bottoms, and then changing them to more horizontal bottoms like Mataraz. So this exercise for me is really training in being able to change my style on the fly. Oh, too abrupt right there. What happened? That's the idea. Not the prettiest shade. We'll try to smooth that shade out a little bit. I mean, that compound curve, because it's not in a lot of other letters, it takes some, it'll definitely take some practice doing a compound curve up and to the left. If you've never done one before. I mean, it's because it doesn't exist in any actual letter forms. It's not one of those shapes that we drill very often. Like so. That was quite nice. Could have tucked this in a little bit closer. Got a little bit high over here, but that's a pretty... Sorry. I mean, I could call it quits to that one, but I like this E, so I'm going to do a few more. I've never actually noticed this E before from him, but I quite like it. My natural inclination would be to put a dagger on it, because that's when I do E's that start this way. I put daggers up on the top there, but just didn't always do that. Blowzer did that quite a bit. All right, let's try this a few more times. Let's see if we can just get it smooth. Nice. Still a little too high in here. Nope. There we go. There's the one. Comes in, tucks in nice right here. I like that one. Yay! Go run your errands, Fuzzy. Not to worry. Tea. Oh, this one here. This was Blowzer's today. This is the standard E, how I normally do them. I have, like I said, I have started writing them, not with this compound curve, but starting, I do the endings similar to this one, but I'll start it like Maddie started his. So kind of a hybrid is how I write them quite a bit these days, but this has always been my go-to style of E and entrance into them. Okay, but I really like that E, and that's actually this last one. I'm very happy with that execution of the capital E. That's quite pretty. Pretty, and it looks very similar, almost perfect, compared to what Mataraz did. His compound curve continues going up a little more than mine did. Mine flattens out and goes horizontal for a little bit longer than his does. But I'm not mad at that. I quite like the way that looks. So now we will move on to F. And maybe since we're on Mataraz, we'll just do his F right here. We'll take a look at it. Since we have his page already. Now, very sharp angle, compound curve, finishing, just compound curve, stem shade, a line, no dagger or anything on the end of the line, just a line through it. And then going from bottom to top, an oval and a compound curve on top. Nice and chill. Simple. Should be able to do that. Key is going to be getting the angle nice and angled. It's quite tall. His stem starts almost at the very top. Nope. Give it bigger shade than that. Come on. That's the idea. Then he just has a straight line at about the halfway point. Longer on the left. And now, probably the hardest part of the entire thing. Oops, sorry. Didn't realize my paper was crooked. Now he has this oval that ends up about this far out. Whoops, I didn't press hard enough, I guess. There we go. Pretty standard F. There is a hairline there. You can't really see it. I gotta stir my ink. She'll catch up. She'll see it. Eventually. Okay. stir the ink, and go on to Kanan's F. It's a really pretty F. It's a minimal F. I use this F quite a lot, except I usually put a tick on the crossbar from the F. Just because the hairlines are so fine sometimes. I'll usually add a little something there. But it's quite pretty. My oval does get a little high on this side, but the hairline's so fine you can't really see it. Okay, let's go to Kanan, see what he's got for us in the F world. Okay, both of his variations, or both of his versions of the same, we got right here. So no compound curve. We have a horizontal entry oval, travels quite a bit farther to the right. Often you see it come here and then almost come up right to where it started, but he travels quite a bit to the right to come up to that same height. No compound curve, straight line, shade at about the halfway point. A tiny line that doesn't cross, starts on the right, just like a tiny loop almost. No real shade, but there is slight accent, but it's almost created because of that little loop that he's making. And then same idea, but unlike Madaras, who had this, which is much more natural for me, this horizontal oval transitioning into the compound curve, Kanan manages, and this is going to be challenging, I think, to get this like this is like a, if you imagine this last part, this implied shape is like a perfect circle. And then when it gets to the upper left corner, it transitions into a straight horizontal compound curve, which is going to be interesting. Very flat on top. We'll see. All right. Let's see what we can do. Entry oval traveling to the right. We should be able to, that part should be relatively trivial on the easy side. Then we come down. Stem at the bottom. I didn't do a very good stem, but that's all right. Little thing like that. I did it too big. And this part is going to be the kicker. Circular oval starting about there. I mean, sort of. His transition is still more like right here. Mine's up here. Yeah, like that. Okay. That's weird. Looks weird with the flat top on it like that. But that's closer to what he did. So that's what we're going to try to replicate. Oh, what's going on with my stem today? Let's fix that first. There we go. Now I don't have space. All right. That making that shape is very strange. Circle, it's very circular until it gets over there. Bummer. Too tall, but that's okay. Okay, that's better for the cross. It's still, I think, too round up here at the top compared to what he did. But it's closer. I'm gonna make that stem a little shorter. There we go. Now for this weirdo cross here. I can repeat the pattern over and over again, but every time I try to do it, the first one doesn't seem to work, which means it's a mental thing. It's in my brain, not in my hand, the issue. But that means we should be able to easily fix it, in theory. Many of the I have a feeling that they did them backwards. Some of them I used to do it backwards, but then I stopped doing that because I didn't want that to become a habit to only be able to do it that way, but going from up here into the round. But I mean, most of Kanan's forms were very round, so it makes sense. And his transition is just abrupt coming out of it, which is the challenging part for me. Kind of like that. That's the idea. Round and abrupt on top. Mine's longer than his, but that's what we're going for. There's Kanan's F. Okay. Now to Blowzer. What do we got, Mr. Blowzer? Ooh, we got a fun one. I'm going to like this one because this is similar to the F in the Mataraz letter that I write relatively often. I do this variation, compound curve, large shade, coming in here, ending in a shade, or a line, dagger, small one. Now here, I don't usually do it with this extra shade, but we're gonna have fun doing it today. Over, this is basically like doing a Z shade. Here, shade around, and then really drastically coming down, way below the baseline on this version. So this one should be fun. Yeah, it's a little crazy. I agree. We should be able to accomplish this one without too much trouble, I think. So long as my compound curve shades are good today. How much hook does he have on top? Not a lot. Okay. Yeah, this one goes way down. Like so. His shade is even bigger here. I gotta make that bigger. And he has a smoother transition a little bit. nice and round to come down on his angle there. Yeah, it's like a horse tail. Almost looks like a pea. I mean, if this curled over, yeah, it could definitely be mistaken for a pea. Looks like he executed this one pretty rapidly and just pretty fun. Doesn't look like precision was on his mind. But I could be wrong. Oh, come on! That shade felt perfect! My paper didn't shade. I can see the... You won't be able to see it. But I can see the lines where my nib tines indented the paper. It was huge. God, bummer. What happened there? And then this part, I like that a lot. That's pretty much... It's a little more vertical than his, but I like it. Alright, let's try again. Stem shade wasn't the best one on that one, so that's okay. He might have got a chill and gone a little wiggly. It's possible. Too high. There we go. Still higher than his, but that's okay. I won't be too picky about my stem shades today. Sort of like that. I guess he crossed much quicker. Feels weird. I'm running out of room to go all the way from up here, all the way below the baseline. I'm running out of arm stretch. Makes me want to do it with whole arm, but I don't want to use whole arm for this exercise. I need stretchier arms. That's close. I'm gonna call that close enough because that's pretty. Marilyn, I feel like you think everything looks like a capital A at one point or another. Okay, we got Meyer has very similar to what Monteraz did. Super low entry oval, no compound curve, straight down into a nice stem shade. Long line with a tick on it, and then the same cross that Monteraz did. It definitely could look like an A if this downstroke was like, it does look like a fat A right here. If my tick was a little bit farther out and this downstroke, or even if my compound curve was more vertical and this was close in, it would definitely, you could make an A variation like that for sure. But it definitely looks like a wide A with the cross being on the left. It gets dangerous to look like a fat A. Whoops. Paper don't... Oh, I did get some on there. Oops. Okay. Meyer. This one should feel relatively natural, I think, for me. Yeah, oops, sorry. horizontal entry oval that's quite low. It goes almost to the baseline. Like so. Long line here. Little tick there. And a compound curve there. Relatively chill. I do this variation of that F quite a bit. I have a slight compound curve in here, and this is pretty much just straight, but that's chill. Cool. I'm gonna leave it there. That's Barons Myers. Boom. Done. There you go, Jesse. That could be your new standard A. Okay, Courtney. Which variation? Courtney gives us 2 here. The one we just did. I mean, they're very similar to what we just did. Both of them. One is just cleaner than the other. You can see here he has the top one, very similar to Barons Myers. Just a little more angled and done a little bit quicker. He doesn't have a real tick on the end of his crossbar. And then this one, it looks cool because the G comes through it. And the G starts, he makes the tick of the F, or the cross of the F is the start of the G. So this one can't really be done as much as a standalone F because there's no, that tick needs to go into something. If you just ticked and went out, it wouldn't make any sense. But cross is the same, similar to Barons Myers. He's just starting with a little small entry over here. So I think what we're gonna do, we'll do the top one. I think. Very similar to Barons Meyer though. Not a lot of difference going on for the Fs, other than we'll try to make his a little more angled, and then his entry oval isn't as low as Barons Myers was in comparison to his stem. More like this, I think. Oh, sorry. Closer to that, if actually even more. Because this would come from like here. And this goes super low down here to come up like that. So we'll try to get that. We'll try to replicate that action. Yeah, like that. It's cross, and then the same. His compound curve on top is a little more abrupt. After the oval, and he cuts through his stem here just a little bit. Whoa, I went too high, but that's the idea. His would just come here, and then abrupt into there. But that's the idea. Cool, we're gonna leave that one too, because that's very similar to Barons Myers. That's fun. Yes, this is... I haven't done a live with classical music in a while. I added some more classical to my live playlist. I figured tonight would be a chill classical music vibe. This is the type of music, I mean, not the royalty-free stuff, but I'll listen to classical piano music quite a bit when I'm doing my own practice. Do you ever play Jamie Siebel cello as background? The problem is, Mom, with if that's an actual artist and it's not a royalty-free song, I can't. The only music I play background for my lives is music that is free and for free use. So I don't play just like regular. I don't play any of my favorite artists. Unfortunately, I can't play any of my favorite music because I'll get copyright claims on it. Like I said before, I don't think you were here. My YouTube channel isn't monetized, so it's not a big issue now. But if down the road, if I were to get enough followers and views and stuff to monetize my YouTube channel, I would get strikes on videos if I played not royalty-free music. So I stick to music that is basically unknown, just free music in their library. My own personal classical music archive on my computer is extensive, and I would love to play my favorite music for you guys. Maybe I'll do that one day. I'll have a special video. Not quite classical. That's how I feel, Roy, about my favorite artist, Helen Jane Long. It's classical, but it's like modernized classical a little bit. Yeah, Marilyn. I mean, that's all my music comes from YouTube's library. And there's a lot of royalty-free music, but I've started literally only choosing music from YouTube's audio archive, because a lot of them, even if and I have a copyright dispute happening right now, actually, for a song that a DJ made a version of, but it sounds nothing like the original copyright claim, which is why I fought it, because it's not the same song. But a lot of music, even if it's posted on YouTube as royalty free, sometimes it's not, because it's picked as a sample that wasn't supposed to be picked and stuff like that. So all of the music now on the stream is 100% from YouTube's own archives. So there's no never gonna be an issue. I mean, Roy, playing Bach when you want to feel learned. That's a great way to feel learned or learned. Playing classical music just makes you feel refined. I mean, if you like classical music. If you don't like classical music, then it's probably annoying, but... Okay, so let's do the last one, JD Todd. We have a compound curve similar to Blowzer's. Come up here. More abrupt in the way he ended, and then we'll finish with a loop that goes horizontal instead of going down like Blowzer's did. It's gonna go up and out. So it's sort of in this instance, JD Todd's is the simplified, more by the rules version, and Blowzer's was the goofy, playful version of this form a little bit. Now his compound curve is super subtle. It's gorgeous. And you have that abrupt. I made my tick much bigger than he did, but that's okay. It's just not a tick, but a little loop, similar to, who else did that today? I can't remember. Somebody else did. Maybe it was Courtney? Baron's mine. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. And then straight out after the shape. Like that. I could even go straighter. I dipped it down even more than he did. I'm trying to fix that stem a little bit. Music is all about mood. That is very true. Happy hardcore. Jeez, I haven't listened to happy hardcore music. I used to listen to happy hardcore music when I was in high school quite a bit. Crazy high energy. There we go. That's the stem we wanted. We'll get our little crossbar here. And then bring this straight out. Like that. Ugh. Ugly oval at the top by accident. Darn it. Try one more time. Whoops, too much of a dagger. I normally do Blowzer's way of bringing it way down below, so coming out of that oval flat is a challenge for me. Go. So far, so good. And there we go, flat out. We'll call it. We'll call that one good enough. And we'll move on to G. Oh, you guys are catch up in chat here. Oh, talking music still. That's good. Buckethead, nice. Lately, I've been listening to a lot of just that, the YouTube channel Chilled Cow that just has the lo-fi hip-hop music to study to. I wish that was royalty-free so I could just play that in the background of these videos. But I have been listening to that quite a bit lately. Chill hop music. Well, if your thumb hurts, don't write. I mean, don't hurt yourself. Let your thumb relax and heal. Alright, so for our G, we'll start with JD Todd here. We'll just keep going the same order. We're going to use, we're going to do this variation. This is a beautiful capital G. Like that is just clean. I rarely, actually, I don't know that I've ever written G finishing it like that, like how we did on the F. I've seen it before, but I don't know when I'm writing. I've never really thought to do it. So he dips way down low here, but I like that this is almost perfectly parallel. These two lines are almost perfectly parallel. And then this is cutting right in here. Getting a nice little shape in the middle there. That is a beautiful, beautiful letter. Exceptionally well executed. I mean, unless, for all I know, it's engraved. I'm not sure. But that is gorgeous. Chilled Cow is really dope. I mean, they have Spotify music. He used to, or he, she, I don't know who runs it, but the channel used to have a royalty-free playlist once upon a time, but it no longer exists. I don't know why specifically. The problem with a lot of hip-hop royalty-free music is hip-hop artists, hip-hop music creators, they sample a lot of songs. So even though they're making a new song, there happens to be copyright strikes because the sample, the company who owns the rights to the sample, I guess their algorithms pick it up, and there's still a lot of copyright issues that way, so you end up having to fight it all the time. And that happens a lot in hip-hop music, unfortunately. But that's, the history of hip-hop music. It's built off of the sample. But when you sample a song, the original owners of the original sample, if they haven't allowed it, they can claim copyright, unfortunately. Okay. Okay. General idea is there. I didn't get my letter nearly as nice as his. This has to come up higher. This needs to start not as far in. This needs to be shorter. But not bad. I know that, I mean, you asked, does Twitch have the same copyright issues? There are some lenient things that happen song-wise where for game streamers can get away with certain music in the background of their games. I don't remember the specific rules, but there's a number of songs that are not royalty free, but they can be played in the background of gaming music, but not necessarily in the background of my face talking videos, if that makes sense. I don't remember specific. I looked that up a long time ago, but there is something there for specifically gamers. There's some different rules for streaming gameplay, I think. Come on. I added that compound curve. I'm still making that lower loop too big. Missed it. My hairline got very, very fine on that one. I have this little compound curve business going on. It's not an actual compound curve. It's just my right tine coming out. And he does not. His is beautiful straight right into that shade. Which I have to get that. Okay. Here we go. Oh no! Why'd I go all the way through? Whoops. That was an accident. Okay, here we go. Darn it. I'm distracted. I need to focus and remember to bring that down there. Now I'm just running through music things in my head. Okay, here we go. I gotta cut that off. That's the idea. That one was close. We got our parallel lines. Not as clean and perfect as his, but that's pretty nice. Let's try a couple more. Okay. It may be. I don't know I don't know the ins and outs when it comes to Twitch. I know in general, there are ways certain streamers are able to use certain music, but also that if that Twitch stream, if they had old chilled cow royalty-free music, like I said, they used to have some, or who knows? Ooh, excuse me. All right, Lori, thanks for hanging out. Please don't get to L. Don't worry, I won't get to L tonight. I think I'm gonna be finishing. I think G is the last letter for tonight. I'm running out of steam, and I think running out of mental energy a little bit. One more. Here we go. There's JD Todd's D. This is the best one I think we got. I could do better, I think, but I'm happy with that one. For today, let's see what Courtney's got for us. Okay, this one's very standard. The lower one is very similar to JD Todd's, so I think we're gonna do this top one, which is messy, but it's neat. Starts with a high oval, comes here. There's a lot going on in here. Comes down in the shade, and then there's an extra loop before going out. Like I said, it's messy. There's a lot going on in there, but I think I want to try to replicate it. Just because it's different than the version. I don't want to do the same. His other one is very similar to JD Todd's, and that's no fun. We want to do something different. So we'll add that little loop. It makes it look messy on the inside, but we'll see if we can make it look messy but clean and still workable. Yes, Mohammed, it's a hot spot. If I was teaching a class and a student showed me this G, I would correct it because there's a lot of crossings and stuff. None of the crossings are really ideal. There's a lot of lines, just kind of making a mess in there, but we're gonna do it anyways. We're gonna worry less about all of that and just let the inside get messy for fun. Because Courtney did it, so why can't we? Is that where he finishes? So I did the same loop, but I end up having... Oh, because this goes through here. I like where I put it better. It opens up a little bit on the inside. The version I did is more open than what he did. Maybe what I did was what he was intending to do, I'm not sure. Try again. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, Bach is back. It's not a very long playlist. I don't have a ton of songs in the classical folder. The YouTube library doesn't have too many classical songs compared to a lot of the other genres. Same with jazz. There's not a lot of jazz. Yeah, every time I do it, I end up with this hairline right in the middle of that oval, which I feel like just makes so much more sense. If I was going to correct it, like if I was going to do this G, how I would want to do it, it would be like this. With this hairline, it's too light. You guys maybe can't see it, but this hairline going right through the middle of everything, so none of the lines are close together, and every cross, except for sort of this one in here, has sort of its own space. It's not what he did, but that's how I would tackle this specific idea, I think. Yeah, even this one, I'll make this hairline heavier so you can see it. Like when I do it that way, everyone has its own space, except for right here has they all connect in that one spot. And I think this would be the cleanest way to do this design. Again, it's not how he did it, and I'm having trouble doing it. This is just how it naturally comes out of my pen, which, I mean, I guess that's a good thing, that that my brain naturally wants to put it that way. But his is much different, I think primarily because his entry oval is higher than mine. Yeah, his is more like that. So he has these two lines much closer together. This looks very similar to what his is. I mean, not form-wise. My ovals are different sizes and stuff, and his are more horizontal, but getting the hairlines there, that's kind of what he did. I'm gonna move past this one, because that's kind of a interesting form, but I like it open like that. I've never done that before. It looks good. Okay, let's go to Meyer. Meyer's G, just a beautiful, chill G with a compound curve, but ending like we did with JD Todd's variation. And a giant entry oval. I'm gonna like this one. I'm gonna enjoy doing. I can tell. This one's gonna feel good, I think. Just so long as I can remember to not finish it in a full oval like I normally do. Like so. His is more angled than that, though. Too long here. And his entry oval starts right at the very top. It's kind of an interesting shape. Yeah, kind of more like that a little bit. Ish, not really. If you ignore the entry oval, I really like the rest of that G. Turned out quite good. I will try this one 2 more times and then we're going to move on. Too round. My little upper loop. There's the idea. There's the Meyer G. That's a pretty G. He has a little bit more of a compound curve, but I'm not going to be picky about that stuff. What are rules in intersecting lines? Basically, you want to get them, it's not always going to be, but you want them to be close to 90 degrees. So they're just crossing like plus signs as much as possible. And then you want them to all have space so that your lines are going, you don't have hairlines that are just crossing, just like a little bit. You want them to cross enough so that there's space on every side of a hairline and around every connection. Unless there's specific spots like the S, where you have multiple lines crossing in exactly the same point on purpose. Most of the time, that's not an intentional thing because it has the high potential of creating a hot spot. But in like the capital S, for example, that's the way it normally works. All right, Blowzer's G is a crazy G. It starts the same way as the ones we've been doing, similar anyways, but then it goes below the baseline in a descender stroke. I don't think I've actually ever written this variation of the G. I don't think it's going to be terribly challenging. I don't think. I could be wrong. We'll see if I can execute this G the way it was straight. There we go. The way he did it. Fascinating variation, though. I like it. Yeah, like so. This is a little bit sharper up here in his specific variation, and the tail's a little shorter, but there we go. Pretty close. To me, it doesn't look, it runs the risk of, it can really easily look like a Y. I probably wouldn't use this variation a whole lot. But it is interesting. Now his entry oval starts way to the left of his design. I'll try that. Yeah, like that. That's what his does. This could come down a lot more though. It's not right on the baseline, but it does come down close to the baseline. Try it again. Not going to spend a lot more time on this one. Because there's not a lot technically super challenging with it. I mean, it's challenging obviously to get the lines exactly the way he did them, but there we go. That's a pretty good execution. Yeah, just an interesting G that to me doesn't really read all that much like a G, so it's not one that I would use terribly lots. Fascinating though. Part of me wants to drop this to the baseline, but he did not. All right, going to Kanan, penultimate G. Oh, Kanan's got a super rounded form. This will be fun. He has, we haven't done this. I mean, he also has this variation, which is very similar to what we were doing that just loops out. Kind of like a condensed version of the Blowzer G, but I think just for fun, we're gonna do this G here, which starts like a interesting C and then has a figure 8 stroke with a shade to finish it off. I've never written that one either. That's fascinating. My camera's a little off the angle that I want to hold my paper today, I think. A little too angled today. This is interesting. Neat. But you just gotta let that flow when you get to the bottom. Yeah, like that. That's a cool letter. That's a cool variation of a G. I have never... That's neat. Huh, nice, Marilyn. I mean, you're still unique. Everything's been done before, that's what they say. Okay, his shade is super short, though. Here we go. Closer. There we go. That's a neat looking letter. Try one more. This one feels good. None of these look like poop, so I'm okay. I'm happy with them. There we go. That's probably the best one. That is neat. And it flows really snazzy out of the pen. There we go. That's Kanan's G. Okay, Madaraz time. Which Mary... Okay, wow, Madaraz's is the exact same as... Like, literally, the exact same as Blowzer's. Interesting. Like it... Now, his entry oval, the only real difference, his entry oval comes all the way down to the baseline. But his is basically the exact same thing. What a strange variation of the G. And then Mataraz also, unlike Blowzer, he gets this, his entry oval starts, they basically touch. It looks like he's hitting almost that exact same point. Now his ascended loop here looks much better than mine. I need to clean that up a little bit. This is just narrow, nice and sharp. Which I, in general, need to work on. What a funny variation of a G. Looks so weird to me. I want to get that loop a little bit sharper before I call this one done. Whoops. That's the idea. The hairline got insanely fine there, but whoops, hairline, or that shave started too soon, but that's the idea. That one, the Mataraz one. Roy, where can I find the sheets that you have? So these ones, most of these are they're from either the lessons that I've compiled from the Business Educator on my website, or from Zenarian.com, or from Iampith. Legitimately, what I did to print these, like there are much better examples of alphabets from all these penmen on the internet, but to print these, took me about 30 minutes last week. I literally just Googled, like J.D. Todd, alphabet, H.P. Barron's Meyer, alphabet, L. Mataraz, alphabet, and then took them. I didn't even save the print files, I just got them real quick. So I don't have all of these specific alphabets even saved. I have the original images, but I kind of just pulled them really haphazardly and then created the quick Photoshop file. I am planning, because I want to do another, I mean, this is going to take a while going through the whole alphabet, but I am planning to compile some alphabet examples from Penmen, but I want to find, like, I'm not a fan of the Courtney alphabet that we have here. I want to find specific alphabets from different Penmen, from like the Iampith archive and whatnot, and compile something. But as of right now, I can't really share. I'm not sharing because I'm being stingy. I apologize. I can't share because I don't have these specific files, because I really quickly just pulled them off of Google and then printed them. If you need to know the name of these penmen, well, I can help with that. I can post the names on the Discord and whatnot of the penmen that I'm studying right now. Why won't the white come off of my nib? But I'm not going to go into midnight. I know we're 4 minutes away from all the lights turning off and the black light turning on. I'm not going to go into midnight today. I got a big day tomorrow, and I'm actually I got a few things I need to get done before I go to bed. And then I need to go to bed. I've been staying up way too late. But I got a big day tomorrow. I'm actually on a Zoom call doing a talk about Spencerian script and whatnot to some people at a local guild here who don't do a lot of pointed pen work. So I gotta prepare for that, but a whole bunch of things. And preparing, and the new COVID restrictions to figure out what's going on with dance classes and all that kind of stuff. But that is the end. If you have questions, please join my Discord, ask the questions there. That's the best place to get a hold of me and to post specific questions. And if you're going to post questions on the Discord, don't do them in a private message to me. Post them to the Discord, because there's a lot of really smart, talented, intelligent people on there, and I will be there and I will answer the questions. But other people may have the exact same question, and you asking it helps them, other people also learn. So please do it that way. Roy, you're not a heathen. You don't need to know all the names of the penmen. I didn't for many years. I'm not really good at remembering stuff that I study. I remember what I saw, but I don't remember where I saw or what it actually said. I'm a visual studier and not an archiver of that kind of knowledge. Thanks for hanging out, Lone. Thanks everybody for hanging out and for keeping the chat alive. Hopefully, everybody cross your fingers that next week our live chat replay will be working again. Fingers crossed. Once the copyright dispute is done, hopefully that'll be all good. This was fun. What do we do today? D, E, F, and G. So we'll start with H next week. And, whoa, my mom's still here. That's fun. Cool. Yeah, thank you guys very much for hanging out. Don't forget that life should be just a bit of silliness, really. And fall in love with the process. I did that backwards. Let me try that again. Don't forget to fall in love with the process, and that life should be just a bit of silliness, really. As always, thank you again for like the billionth time, and I'll see you